Okay, imagine this. What if an AI could do more than just, suggest the next line of code? What if it could actually take over some of the real heavy lifting, like writing whole features from just a simple description or hunting down bugs all by itself and fixing them, even managing pull requests? Sounds pretty futuristic, doesn't it? Well, that future might be closer than we think, maybe even knocking.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at OpenAI Codex. It's this AI coding agent that's, well, making some serious waves in software development.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got this detailed report here, and it really unpacks the whole thing, how Codex works, what it can actually do, where it fits in with other tools, its security setup, which is obviously crucial, and importantly, how you can actually get your hands on it and start using it.
Right. And our mission today really is to cut through the hype, filter out the noise from this report, and just give you the core insights. We want you to understand what Codex is capable of, how it could genuinely change how software gets made,
Yeah.
and the key things you need to be aware of without getting totally bogged down in like super technical details.
Yeah, whether you're coding daily or just sort of AI curious, this should be useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right in. What is OpenAI Codex fundamentally?
Okay, so at its heart, Codex is an AI coding agent
Yeah.
built by OpenAI, obviously. The really key thing, though, is what's powering it. It runs on Codex 1, and Codex 1 is a specialized version of their, super powerful GPT-4 model.
Ah, okay, so it's like GPT-4 but trained specifically on code.
Exactly. Think massive amounts of code, countless languages, open source projects, giving it this really deep understanding of programming logic, patterns, best practices, all that stuff.
So it's definitely not just fancy autocomplete then, like we get in our IDEs already.
Oh, not at all, no. The report really stresses this. Codex goes way beyond suggesting the next few words. It's built to autonomously tackle entire coding tasks. You give it a high-level request in plain English, and it can generate the complete code needed. It's almost like having a virtual software engineer ready to go.
Wow. That really does sound like a potential game changer. So where do you interact with it? How does it show up?
Well, there are two main ways right now. It's integrated directly into the ChatGPT interface, and lots of people know that already. And for developers who like working in the terminal, there's also a secure command line interface, a CLI.
Got it. Chat, GPT, and a CLI. Okay, so solid foundation, accessible. But what are the standout capabilities? What makes it revolutionary?
The report breaks it down into a few key areas.
Hmm.
First, and maybe the most wow factor thing, is translating natural language, like just plain English, into working code.
Yeah.
And not just Python or JavaScript. It's proficient in, I think the report said, over a dozen programming languages.
Over a dozen. Just tell it what you want in English, and it writes the code. That's
Yeah.
pretty wild. What else?
Well, then there's what the report calls autonomous multi-step tasks. So it's not just generating a snippet. It can take on more complex workflows. Things like finding and fixing bugs in your existing code, writing unit tests automatically, even creating pull requests to submit the changes back to the project.
Ah, okay. Those are exactly the kinds of things that can eat up so much developer time. Tedious stuff sometimes.
Right, automating that. Huge time saver potential.
And can it, juggle? Can it do multiple things at once?
Yes, it can. It handles multiple tasks in parallel. And crucially, the report mentions these tasks run in isolated cloud environments, sandboxes.
Sandboxes. Okay, tell me more about that. Why is that important?
It means each coding job happens in its own secure bubble, basically. So if one task generates weird code or has an error, it can't mess up anything else. It's a big reliability thing. And maybe one of the most powerful aspects is what they call repository-aware intelligence.
Repository-aware intelligence. Okay, that sounds significant. What does that mean in practice?
It means Codex doesn't just look at the single file you're editing. It can basically understand the context of your entire project codebase. So the code it generates is more likely to fit the project's overall structure, the style, the existing patterns. It understands the bigger picture, not just the immediate line. Less integration hassle later.
Right, so it's not coding in a vacuum. Okay, this all sounds great theoretically, but how are people actually using it? Let's dig into some real-world use cases.
Sure. The report lists quite a few. For individual developers, it's a big productivity boost. You can describe a new feature at a high level, and Codex can generate a first draft of the code. Less boilerplate writing. Also, automated bug fixing. It might spot and suggest fixes for issues that could take you ages to track down manually.
And testing, always important, often a bottleneck. Does it help there?
Absolutely. It can generate test cases for your code,
Yeah.
help ensure things are reliable. It can even integrate with CI/CD pipelines. So automate testing whenever code changes. Oh, and documentation. It can help generate code comments or even draft bigger documentation sections based on the code. Imagine freeing up time from that.
Yeah, that alone would be huge. What about bigger teams, enterprises? How does it scale up?
For larger organizations, the report sees potential in a few areas. Faster onboarding for new developers is one. AI assistants could help them get up to speed on a complex code base much quicker, weeks, maybe months faster. It could also help cut down QA backlogs through that autonomous testing capability. And integrating with DevOps for auto-fixing issues. Plus, for companies with older systems, it might help with large-scale code refactoring, modernizing legacy code.
So it's useful for old code bases too, not just new stuff. That's interesting. And the report mentioned impacts across different industries.
Yeah, definitely. For startups, think faster MVP development, minimum viable product, getting that first version out the door quicker. In areas like fintech or health tech, where audits are critical, the AI-assisted process might enhance the code audit trails, make things more transparent. Education, you could have AI tutors helping people learn to code. Game development, prototyping game logic or level scripts much faster. It's pretty broad.
Okay, the applications seem vast, but, Codex isn't the only AI coding tool out there. We hear about GitHub Copilot, others. How does Codex actually stack up? What makes it stand out?
That's a really important question. And the report does compare it to tools like, GitHub Copilot, Replit Ghostwriter, Amazon CodeWhisperer. And while all of them offer AI help for coding, Codex has some pretty significant differentiators according to this analysis.
Okay, lay them out for us. What are the key differences?
Well, the biggest one seems to be autonomous tasking. The report states Codex is kind of unique right now in offering fully autonomous handling of those multi-step coding tasks we talked about. The others are more focused on suggesting code as you type, code completion.
Ah, right. More passive versus active.
Exactly. Then there's that repo-level awareness again. Codex has it deeply integrated. The others, according to the report, have limited or maybe no real understanding of the whole project context. Another one is sandboxed execution. Running tasks in those secure, isolated cloud environments. That's listed as unique to Codex among these competitors.
Okay. Safety and context. Anything else?
And the open source CLI, the command line tool. That's specific to Codex too, offering more flexibility and transparency for developers.
So putting it all together, it really does sound like OpenAI is positioning Codex not just as a copilot, but more like a virtual engineer, something that takes on bigger chunks of work.
That's a good way to phrase it, yeah. The report definitely emphasizes those agent-like capabilities and the task isolation. It sets it apart as something more proactive.
Makes sense. But with great power comes, well, things to be careful about. The report goes into security limitations, privacy. Let's unpack those.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
So security first. That cloud sandboxing is a major feature. Isolated environments, no outbound internet access by default. That minimizes risks significantly. There's also dependency control. It uses a sort of allow list for software packages, reducing vulnerability risks. But, and this is critical, the report really hammers this home. The developer, the user, is still responsible. You have to review and test the AI's code. It's an assistant, not an infallible oracle.
Right. Human oversight is non-negotiable.
Absolutely. What about limitations? Where does it, maybe fall short? Well, a few things. The generated code might not always be the most performant, the most optimized. Or it could, potentially, introduce subtle security vulnerabilities a human might catch. Also, context window limits. While it has repo awareness, there's still a limit to how much code it can see at once. It might miss dependencies or connections in very, very large or complex code bases that are far apart.
Okay, so performance and context limits. Understandable. And privacy. Especially with proprietary code, that's always a big concern.
Yeah, it depends on how you use it. If you're using it via ChatGPT Pro or Team, the hosted versions, the report says your code stays within OpenAI's secure setup. But for sensitive code bases or where data location matters a lot, that Codex CLI is the key. Because it's open source and runs locally, your code doesn't have to leave your machine or your network. That's a big plus for privacy-conscious users.
That local CLI option seems absolutely vital for adoption in many companies. Okay, so if someone's listening and thinks, all right, I want to try this, how do they actually get started? What are the integration options?
Two main routes. First is the ChatGPT interface itself. Probably the easiest way to start experimenting. You can just type prompts in natural language, like literally fix the login bug in auth.js. And Codex will try to figure it out. The report suggests this is great for, like, Quick iterations, trying out ideas, small fixes.
Super convenient for quick tasks. And the other way is the CLI we keep mentioning.
Exactly. The Codex CLI, this is really geared towards professional developers, bringing Codex right into their terminal environment. The benefits there are editing code locally with your own tools, integrating it into scripts and existing workflows, and again, that privacy aspect of local execution.
Makes sense. And how do you install that CLI? Is it complicated?
Nope. Seems pretty standard for developers.
Sure.
The report gives the command pip install OpenAI Codex-CLI, straightforward Python package installation, and it also mentions the full source code is up on GitHub, which is great for transparency and community involvement.
Good to know. Okay, we've covered what it is, what it does, how to use it. What about getting access and the cost? Is this free?
Access is tied into the ChatGPT subscription levels currently. So the free ChatGPT tier doesn't include Codex access right now. For ChatGPT Plus users, the report says it's rolling out. ChatGPT Pro users get it. And Team and Enterprise plans have full access.
Okay, so primarily a part of the paid ChatGPT offerings for the moment. And the CLI tool itself, does that cost extra?
No, and that's a key point. The Codex CLI tool itself is free and open source software. You don't pay extra for the CLI, but you do need that underlying access via a Pro, Team, or Enterprise subscription to actually use the Codex AI models it connects to.
Got it. The tool is free, but the AI brainpower behind it is part of the subscription. Okay, so bringing this all together then, if we had to distill the main message from this deep dive on OpenAI Codex, what's the core takeaway?
I think the central idea is that Codex represents a really significant shift. It's moving beyond just AI assisting with code completion. We're seeing the emergence of more autonomous AI agents in software development. Agents that can handle a much wider range of tasks, more complex tasks, and that could fundamentally change how we think about building and maintaining software down the line. It feels like a step change.
It really does, a potential glimpse into a new way of working. Okay, so as you mull all this over, here's something to think about. As AI like Codex becomes more integrated, maybe even a standard part of the toolkit, how does that change the role of the human programmer? What are we needed for? And maybe even more exciting, what totally new kinds of software, what kinds of applications might suddenly become feasible when you have these autonomous coding agents helping out? Definitely some interesting food for thought there.